Hi folks! Today I'm going to start sharing my on-the-ground story with you. Not because I think my story is so unique or ideal, but because if you're interested in resilience, if you're interested in community, maybe I can help you get off the ground too. Let me tell you, I would love to hear your resilience story. But here's mine. Every story begins at home, right? This is my place. I took possession of this property in 2020 for under $50K. Spring of 2020, that was a scary time, right? Before that, I'd been a much more typical professional. I worked in science, education, community building, and I'm good at what I do. I worked on a national level, but in the spring of 2020, I don't know. I was unable to stomach anymore how much of everything is bullshit. What I wanted to do from 2017 was run AR. And if the whole world can melt, why not try to live the life you want? So I pulled it together. In 2021, from this strong but modest base, I started to do this work. Why here? This, from a climate outlook, is a marginal area. Not like these three areas. Those are the places you should go if you want the most hope of a comfortable life. But you know what? Everything I love most is here in central and eastern Iowa. And if there's going to be a margin, if there's going to be a front, someone needs to hold it. Does that resonate with you? I know some of you watching, you're like me. It's not about flight with you. You're down to fight. So join me here with AR. This is the fight of our lives. It's time to strike a blow for life. Getting the word out, building our community resilience. These acts of prudence and kindness, those are the weapons in our hands. You might have seen my video on America's emerging bioregions. So my place, check that out. We're down on the southern edge of the emerging GSZ, the growing stuff zone. And the GSZ, there's our big national hope for continuing domestic production of the major food crops Americans eat today. Much south of here, it's going to get too hot for today's corn and soy. And where I am, kind of far south, and you'll notice not too far from the drying west, the border is not just heat. It's the threat of desertification. It's the threat of that dryness. Like in the 1930s, the topsoil, it dried out, it was blowing up. It became blinding clouds of black. This disaster is what threw the pioneer branch of my family off the land and into Chicago, where the rest of my immigrant ancestors were already settling in to a place where anyone with my complexion can pretend to be Italian. Chicago's the best! If you want a world city with excellent resilience potential, check it out. But I'd rather stay on the land. And in my blood, I've been thrown by desertification before. I know this battle. My ancestors, they were part of the problem. They broke the prairie, right? So I think it's right to take on my share of the debt. Now, I'm back and I'm ready to fight. If you want to hold a front, what do you need to do? You need to make a plan. The first thing I did, you can do, using info from AR's 50 States Project. The first thing I did was gather intelligence. I made sure I understood the risks facing my state. And I will say I also used the USDA hub tools to check out projections for my specific area under both the RCP 4.5 and 8.5 scenarios. Make sure there's an edge of hope there to hold, even in the worst case. Now, this didn't apply to me, but some areas near the coast, you really need to check out the sea level rise tool before you plan your defense. Do me a favor, make sure you consider saltwater incursion into your freshwater resources before you get going, okay? Using that information then, I tried to think. What's the most important thing we need to hold here in my area? What challenge do we most need to fix so we can get more holds? Think about like a climbing problem, right? Where's that first foothold? For my location, that crucial first issue is water resilience. Through and through, plain and simple, it's water. And for many of us west of the Mississippi, water for sure is going to be the first big crux. So what did I do then? I learned about the watershed and the aquifer, and here, my friends, is a great resource for you on that topic. Now, let's get serious. The feds have this thing on the hinkiest server imaginable. Like it could seriously be on an old desktop tower from like 98, grinding away on the floor of a minor bureaucrat's office. Speaking of whom, thank you. Thanks for your service and thanks for this wonderful resource. I love it. You can buy this resource, viewers, or you can use it for free. But I 100% guarantee that if we get too many people on there trying to use it for free, this website is going to crash a lot. Similar to how I think we've been crashing the USDA Climate Hub. But the Climate Hub, they upgraded. I don't know if the USGS has the funding to upgrade this resource, so let's be nice. Okay, that was step 1. I gathered intelligence and I identified my primary resilience target. Now that I had learned some stuff, it was time for me to share the message. Not with the internet, but with people on the ground. Fortunately for me, that's what I do. And I'm going to teach you how, because that's also what I do. When I worked with the National Center for Science Education, I put all my academic research on science communication to the test. I designed traveling hands-on exhibits about topics like climate change, scientific topics that people often think will be controversial, and I want them to come to all kinds of informal community events. Places where I could reach a broad cross-section of the community, focusing on communities that get left out of these conversations. Communities in agricultural areas, politically conservative areas, and in very religious communities. And let me tell you, I had fun. You should never be afraid to reach out to people. I learned so much stuff from those cool communities, and I built up an awesome network here in Eastern Iowa. By the end of my time with NCSE, we were reaching more than 250,000 people a year with fun, engaging, hands-on learning. And I did some assessments along the way because as a scientist, my urge to experiment on humans is always present. I gathered strong evidence that people were learning from my exhibits. Understanding of climate change went way up in my region between 2014 and 2017. I'm sure my work wasn't the only factor, but it matters a lot to have a friendly face on the ground. You could be that for your people. Now I'm getting my network back together. I'm so happy to be partnering with my colleagues at the University of Iowa again as we work to produce an interactive exhibit on aquifers. My pre-exhibit sampling shows one thing. No one around here has any freaking idea that we're drinking groundwater. We transitioned towards groundwater use away from surface water just in like the last 10 or 15 years. In Iowa time, that's like it's still happening in the future. In my new exhibit, I'm focusing on uplifting 2 voices. One, the IGS, the Iowa Geologic Survey, the guys who are monitoring and modeling aquifer health to protect our state's water future. And 2, the Meskwaki Nation. They're the leaders, the founders of the Iowa River Watershed Coalition. In our next episode of On the Ground, I'll get you some inside stories from these 2 voices, some updates on the exhibit beta tests as we get ready for broad release, and I'll share my tested techniques for reaching out to the public in a positive way. Do you want to create your own journey on the ground? Start by identifying that first crux. Do your research. If you have an exhibit concept, I'll help you build it. This is Dr. Emily Scherning with AR, signing off. There is hope. We can prepare for what's coming. Let's get ready.